Savvy Business Radio, drawing out the best from our guests with our host, Christina Nichman.
Our guest today is Bruce Schoenberg, the CEO and founder of Oasis Day Spa. Celebrating the spa's 20th anniversary this September 2018, Bruce shares his secrets to sustaining a spa business for over 20 years despite recessions, minor floods, and devastating fire. Bruce offers helpful tips for all entrepreneurs wishing to launch their own spa. Find out more and visit Oasis Day Spa at oasisdayspa.nyc.com. Hi, Bruce. Welcome to Savvy Business Radio. How are you this wonderful afternoon?
I am well, Christina. Thank you for having me as your guest.
Oh, you betcha. I was really excited to have you come share today. You have just celebrated your 20th anniversary as a spa, which for a small business, we talked about before the interview, not even 4% of most businesses even make it to year 4, let alone year 20. So you're a testament of time and great business that has stood the test of time. And today you're going to share some of the practices that have kept you going as such a wonderful operating business. Share with the audience, though, but what brought you into the world of entrepreneurship?
Well, I come from a family of entrepreneurs, and in fact, growing up, my grandfather and my father talked to me about the need for someday to be able to control my own destiny and not being working for a corporation that one day, usually around 50 years old, they come to you, pat you on the back, give you a watch and say, thanks for everything, here's your hat, what's your hurry? So I was most, I guess, influenced by the fact that if I'm going to work really, really hard, I want to be able to do it for myself and have control of my own destiny.
It's great that you came from that background. My background and the background of many Americans is that of an employee where my mom said, stay at one company, be the best darn employee you can be, and maybe at 65 you'll have some golden years where you can actually travel the globe and have some fun. And I remember thinking when I was a kid, I don't want that. I want to have a good time before I reach 65. But it's not all roses and cake when you're creating your own business, is it, Bruce? There's some tough times. And in order to create your destiny, it's not always an easy path.
Well, the number one attribute, I would say, of any successful, not just entrepreneur, but anybody that's successful in anything that they do is resiliency. Mm-hmm. I mean, the most important trait that I speak to my staff about is being persistent. Mm-hmm. And that just because they have a setback or a failure or make a mistake, they should embrace that. And not look at it as something that's really a negative thing. Yes, in the moment, it hurts and you're disappointed, but in reality, the most successful businesses, the most successful people have not only made mistakes, sometimes big mistakes, but they have failed. The thing that they've been able to do is capitalize on what they've learned from that. So they don't make, I always say to my staff, hey, you're going to make mistakes. Yeah. It doesn't bother me. Just don't make the same mistake twice. Yeah. Learn from what you did wrong. And so eventually, if you're paying attention, you will eliminate all the mistakes that you make and learn how to do it right.
Yeah. And as we talked about before the interview, as businesses change, some things that you did prior are not going to work going forward. And so you got to be willing or able to be flexible and say, okay, that didn't work now. What do we have to do to cross correct so that we can move forward and be that much more successful?
Well, that's what makes business fun and interesting, that it's not a stagnant operation, that you're constantly evolving. And if you're paying attention, and that's really what most people that run into problems, they're distracted and they're not paying attention, or they don't evaluate it correctly and see that things are changing. And so it's so important that you have other sets of eyes on things and you welcome dissenting opinions. Obviously, we see in our daily lives, maybe in politics or other things where people don't have an open mind. I know that for me, I know that I'm not the smartest person on every topic. And so I know what I do well, and I try to find people that are smarter than I to surround myself with. My ego is strong enough to be able to deal with having somebody say to me, Bruce, I don't think you're doing that right. And of course, what I'll say to them is, well, tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Uh-huh. Well, it's good that you're able to realize that there are things that aren't working. What can I do better? And hey, fill me in here. What's not working that I could do better so I can fix it, cross correct, and keep going. Now, you mentioned really quickly distractions. Do you think that's hurting businesses today? We had mentioned before the interview that there's cell phones, social media, pulling millions of different directions. Is that part of what makes businesses hard to stay up and going and be successful today?
Well, when you talk about the distractions that occur, if you're talking about your employees, that's something where you have to be really strict in making sure that they stay focused. So, of course, we have a no cell phone policy at work. If there's an issue, they can get a phone call at the office, and then if they have to move and take a private call, they can. But for the consumer, they're the ones that are distracted. Because there's so much noise going on out in the public space that they can be easily, drawn to the next new shiny object. And so then what you really need to do is to be able to develop a relationship with your customer. But pay attention to what they're looking at. And that's one of the things I do, not just by asking for feedback from my customers, but asking for feedback from my employees who are also consumers. We're all consumers. Everybody's a consumer. So where are you doing that consumption? And so what we will do is, I do enough reading, but again, I grew up in a different era. I don't know exactly what it is that somebody that's 22 is going to be attracted to unless I'm around 22-year-olds.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you mentioned that, getting a pulse on what your customer's feeling, wanting, getting their feedback. And that's what's called good old fashioned customer service or customer care that I think falls by the wayside of a lot of businesses. And they forget that how important it is to really, really understand what does your customer's needs, wants, and desires today. What it was when you opened your doors 5 years ago, as opposed maybe today, has maybe totally changed as things keep evolving and changing. And that brings me to ask you, Bruce, with the evolving of online purchasing and other places like Amazon giving retailers a run for their money, how has it been for you to get the marketing and the message out for your brand? How have you been able to do that and get in touch with your customers?
Well, as you said, the world has now moved online. So that just takes the place of what was traditional advertising, which back in the day was print or direct mail. You can make the case that the print now is online, the direct mail is online. We do email. So is that direct mail? So we used to use a direct mail program called Savvy Shopper or something like that. You used to get the blue envelope in the mail, and you would say to the company, how many mailings are you doing in this particular zip code? Oh, we're going to send out 26,000 in that zip code are going to get delivered. Well, now how many people really get a lot of mail? So back in the day, 26,000 would go to a certain zip code. You'd say to yourself, how many of those envelopes are going to get opened up? So let's just say 10% of the envelopes get opened up. That's 2,600 envelopes. You're one of 50 different offers in that envelope. What are the odds of your product being seen? So it's, as I love to say to everybody, everything in life is math. So you do the numbers. You crunch the numbers and you say, my return on investment has to be this. So when we send out our email list, we have 100,000 people on our email list. How many people are going to open up the email on a weekly basis? How many people are going to act on that email? So I don't think the math has changed tremendously. It's just the way you deliver the message.
Yeah.
So that has evolved, and it's made it interesting. It's made it fun. It's just the game is different. But it's the same game. It's just in a different box.
Yeah, the vehicles have changed, but it's still the same thing. Now, what I think is pretty interesting and nifty is the fact that it's instant. Whereas before, if I sent a campaign out in the mail, you'd wait 2 days for the postal service to deliver it, maybe in a couple more days for someone to get through their mail and read it on the weekend. So there was a time lapse there. So now things are a little bit more instant, and also, for promoting on social media and connecting with your clients there, that's all more of an instant access. But does this have a downside as well for businesses? Because as we said in the beginning, before we had our interview, there's so many distractions that you can be pulled in so many directions. How do you keep the attention of your prospective clients?
Well, interesting. You said prospective, so that means a new customer, somebody that's going to be new. At the end of the day, I think all the review sites that you see out there now that people can use, whether it be Yelp or they can go on to half a dozen other. Google has a review site, and then TripAdvisor. Those are the three big that come to mind. At the end of the day, when we ask people how they heard about us, well, it used to be 88% heard about us through word of mouth. So one customer refers another customer, a new customer. And so you try to incentivize them. Now, because of the internet, about 25% of the business new customers hear about us through search. They search.
Browser.
And so that has, made everything different. Now, we tried, and I'm considering it. Why? Because it's out of the box now. Guess what? I'm thinking of going back to trying a direct mail campaign. Why? How much mail do people receive anymore? They go to people. Sometimes I say to I ask some of my employees, how much mail do you get? Oh, I haven't checked my mail in a couple of days. So younger people don't even look in their mailbox usually, because everything's being delivered to them on email. But when you do send something out, maybe now for snail mail, it'll stand out more. Instead of being one of 10 things in your mailbox, it may be only 2. And so when somebody's going to look at it, they're going to go, wow, look at this. So maybe what's old is new again. And I'm going to find out this Christmas.
Yeah,
I'm doing a direct mail campaign for the first time since 2009.
This is tremendous, Bruce, because I have to tell you a personal story. About 6 months ago, a person that wanted to work with me, hire me out as a consultant, did something unexpected. He sent a box of goodies and kind of marketing tchotchkes of their business. And I was like, what the hell is this box? They didn't send an email. Not even a letter with it, just sent me this box of goodies and talking about their business. And I was like, whoa, what is this? I'm curious. He got my attention. And then a few days later said, did you get my box? We'd like you to work with us. But he so stood out that I was sitting here for days going, what the heck is this? This is amazing. What? But that really stood out for me. So I could totally see some sort of direct marketing, if you do it well, could really get people's attention, because it's not what you're getting. I'm getting, if anything, advertisements once in a while, but mostly bills here and there. And most of the bills are still coming online, but it's a few bills, a couple of advertisements, but they don't stand out. Now, on that note, what do you do as a direct marketer through mail that can stand out from the advertisements that others are sending out? What do you think is a good...
Well, what we're going to try is sending a glossy, high-end, large postcard that has a beautiful image on the front that people are going to go, wow, who's this beautiful person?
Yeah.
And keep it simple on the back with an offer, with a call to action offer. And so we'll see how that works. But, primarily, especially this time of the year, although we do it year round, I would say that my number one way of reaching the new clients, and, it's kind of a metaphor for what we do at Oasis Day Spa, we touch people. So we go out and we do a tremendous amount of events, mostly charity events that are, giving back to the community in some way. We're involved directly with three major cancer charities that I'm on the board of. One of them, Ronald McDonald House. The other one is Susan G. Komen. And then we do work for the American Cancer Society for both of those breast cancer walks. But, excuse me, one of the things that we are constantly doing is we get on a weekly basis, I want to say 15 to 20 requests for people asking for something for us to donate to their charitable event or cause. Now, obviously, we can't participate on such a level. It would bankrupt us if we gave away gift certificates at that level. Yeah. But what we do is we will send a $15 voucher for everybody that goes to the event. So it gives them something of value that they may want to, it's a call to action that they can use at the spa. It's like me saying to you, I remember a client that came in one day and said, I'm a new customer and I like your spa. What are you going to do for me? And so, of course, it's kind of has a little gravitas to it, asking that kind of a question. But, I come from the culture of you don't ask, you don't get.
Exactly.
So I said, I like your moxie. Where you from? You're from Brooklyn? Could be a Brooklyn boy. I said, I don't know, I'm not from Brooklyn. I said, well, something, I'm going to give you the 10% because you asked.
Yeah.
And so there I create a relationship with that customer. And the customer said to me at the time, only 10%? And meanwhile, it was like a $150 service the person got. And so I was giving them a $15 discount. I said, if you were walking down the street right now and saw a $10 and a $5 bill laying on the sidewalk, would you walk past it? Or would you say, today's my lucky day, I just found $15? That's how you have to look at this. You just got $15 on the sidewalk that you could use towards this facial that you just got. So, I try by doing all these events that we go out to, it gives us a chance to literally reach out and touch people.
Yeah.
And so we're doing an event for Hope's Door on Wednesday night. Hope's Door, if you're familiar with it, is a charity for women that have been abused in their relationship. So it provides counseling services to them. On Monday night, we're doing some wedding salon event. Tuesday night, we're doing an awards event. So we're constantly out there where I'll send a chair massage therapist that will give complimentary massages to the attendees and hand out our literature. So it may cost me $150 to be there for the night, but if there's 400 people there, that are going to potentially walk by, maybe 50 of them will walk by and take something from me. I know statistically that 2 or 3 of those people are going to come back to the spa, and so my return on investment is great. So I will always encourage businesses, and when I do, I am a consultant for small businesses, and I'll say to them, who's your customer? Do you know who your customer is? Which means, do you know your product? Do you know your service? And who wants it? And so you got to go to where the fish are.
Yeah.
If you want to catch fish, you got to go to where the fish are.
Yeah. You mentioned something interesting before about the asking. I think that's important, the ask, not only for the consumer, but also for the business owner. There are sometimes missed opportunities on the table just because you didn't go out and ask and get maybe a little uncomfortable. And I love the fact that you also put yourself out there at charity events. Some people are like, 3 people booked, how much return on investment? If that becomes a lifetime customer, it's priceless.
Not only that, it's like there was a famous ad. I remember I used to love to read Advertising Age, and I remember in their 50th anniversary, they put down the 50 greatest ads of all time. And, you know, one of them was the ad of, and of course, you'll remember the product. I'm drawing a blank for a second.
Yeah.
It said, I told two people, and they told two people, and so on and so on. It was for some hair coloring product.
Uh-huh.
And that's what it is. It's an exponential mathematical formula. If you can earn two clients and you treat them well, they'll tell two people who will tell two people, and so on and so on. And so eventually, when I started, like you said, here, we're 20 years in the business. When I first started the business, I didn't sleep for 6 months because I said, what am I getting myself into? We didn't open up the door and have a line down the block. It took 9 months for the business to finally get recognized. We got a couple of PR hits, but more importantly, you know, we went out there, we advertised, we marketed, but eventually it was our clients telling their friends. And so, you know, a tsunami does not start as a huge wave. It starts as a little ripple that gathers strength.
Momentum. Yeah.
Momentum.
And what's
Perseverance.
Yeah, and also the importance there I'm catching is that it's not people think this happens overnight. I think they look at success stories or bios of people of where they are today, not looking the 20-year track it took to get there or however long it took for them to be successful, that it's not anything great is not built overnight.
Well, I think anybody that's been successful, you know, there's that occasional catch lightning in a bottle, but that people think, oh, this happened overnight because I never heard about it. But, you know, I remember reading the guy, Lin-Manuel, that wrote Hamilton. And I read, it took him years to write that show.
Wow.
Years to write it, to put it together, to produce it. Now, of course, you know, it's an annuity for him, and he's, you know, the man is sitting there on the top of the world, the Broadway world, and any project he wants to do going forward, people will listen to him. But you can imagine what it took to build the infrastructure of that production.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing with any business. You have to build a foundation, you have to build it strong, and you have to grind it out. You have to be willing to grind it out. I think most entrepreneurs fail, lack of vision, lack of sticking to it, and usually they're underfunded.
Yeah.
They don't have enough money to make the project sustainable for as long as needed for the, you know, for the customer, the consumer, or whomever to discover it.
Yeah. And you mentioned something else very important about making sure you have very happy clients that then spread the word to 2 people, become 4 and 8 and 10 and keep growing. But there's also the negative effect. And I've heard that when someone has a really bad experience with a product or service, they actually tell more people than when it's positive. So customer care plays a big part in being successful. And that's something you guys have done very well at.
Look, I'm not going to tell you we bat 1,000. Anybody that tells you that they have every customer is 100% happy is not being truthful. And that whole pitch that, you know, you have a happy customer, they tell 3 people, you have an unhappy people, they tell 10. I think that's somebody that's selling, you know, those services that will help you remove your bad reviews. But,
yeah.
I mean, you always consider the source from where it's coming. I have friends that everything they do is the greatest, you know, and I just roll my eyes. And I have people that everything they do, they find fault in. So, you know, I also take that with a grain of salt. I mean, the one thing I do know, pardon me, is I use the analogy. I have this favorite Italian restaurant that I love to eat at. And I go in there and I'll say to Ernie, what do you love tonight? What do you think? And he says, oh, we're doing this. I like this and that. Every now and then, very rarely, I eat something that Ernie recommends. And, you know, not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
I'm still going back to the restaurant. So I know this about what we do, knowing what we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Massage and skincare require us touching you.
Mm-hmm.
It not only requires us touching you, there is a relationship that you have with the customer that, especially somebody new, that requires you connecting with them. And just like kissing somebody, you could be the greatest kisser in the world. Somebody's not going to like the way you kiss.
That's true.
And you could be the best massage therapist in the world, and somebody can come out and say, so?
Yeah.
It was okay. It was all right. I've had better. What are they comparing it to? So at the end of the day, we will listen to the customer.
Mm-hmm.
We will take everything they tell us with, we want to hear the feedback.
Yeah.
We take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And so hearing your customer, what they have to say is important.
Yeah.
And taking their feedback constructively.
Mm-hmm.
And so then if we have somebody that's unhappy, I listen to them. Why were you unhappy? Tell me what the problem is. Okay. Sometimes you have those people that are just looking for a discount. They are out there.
Yeah.
And so, you come in, Christina comes in, has a massage, doesn't like the massage she has with Sally.
Mm-hmm.
Christina, sorry, we're going to give you 10% off. And on your next visit, we'll give you 10% off just for coming back and trying us again.
Mm-hmm.
And you come in, and next time we give you Jane. And you come out from that, I wasn't happy with Jane. Mm-hmm. Now all of a sudden it's not Sally or Jane. It's like, all right, what's with this Christina?
Yeah.
She's one of these people that we can't make happy because they do exist.
Yeah.
So,
and it's true. I've seen those people, Bruce. I was in a restaurant last year where it was insane. This person sitting next to me at the next table ordered a salmon, and this place does salmon pretty darn good. And he ate almost all his salmon to then tell the waiter it was bad, it wasn't good, and it was very dry, and he wants his money back. And I'm thinking to myself, this dude wants a free salmon dinner. And you got some of those sometimes, so you got to weigh it. Are you?
We try to do the math on those. One of my favorite movies was Victor Victoria. I don't know if you remember that movie, classic movie.
Mm-hmm. I remember it. Yeah.
And so in that movie, she brought the cockroach with her to try to get the free meal. So we get people that, and we find them entertaining. We could write a book on that. But for the most part,
mm-hmm.
when somebody is unhappy with something, there was something that they didn't like. And so we'll listen
mm-hmm.
and we'll try to make it up to them. Because, the old axiom, the customer is always right. Rule number 2 is, if in doubt, look at rule number 1.
Yeah.
So, we try to make the customer always right.
Yeah.
And so I think any good business people understand that you're not going to be perfect.
Yeah. And that there are some abusers, very minimally from my experience, that want to just take advantage. It comes to a point where you got to, cut them off. But that's a very small minority from what I've witnessed. And most people are not just trying to get freebies and get, they really are unhappy for a certain reason. And you listen to them and try to, find a way to make them happy so that they come back and, they're a happy lifetime customer.
Well, we have fired some clients, but the reason we have fired the clients in the past
mm-hmm.
usually was because of their conduct towards our staff.
Yeah. That's not acceptable.
Abusive people.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, what most people think when they go into a spa where there's massage therapy, you very rarely do we have the client that acts inappropriately.
Yeah.
Does it happen every now and then? Yeah, it happens every now and then. Our staff's trained on how to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes, and then of course we get the inappropriate phone call, asking if we can provide a service that we can't provide. And so, it becomes almost part of the sitcom of the day.
Yeah.
Where we have a funny story to tell. And it just comes with the territory. But overwhelmingly, as you can imagine, consumers want what they come in to get, and businesses want to give the consumer what they want. And it's a happy marriage and relationship. And sometimes you can't win for trying, and you have to just chalk that up as, as part of the business.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, there's been so much positive feedback that small businesses or businesses that are just getting started, launching, can take and use into their business. It's an ongoing process, just cross-correct if need be. Listen to what Bruce had to say, because 20 years out there and thriving is not common for most businesses. But if you follow the advice that Bruce gave you today, you just might be able to stay here the year 20 and celebrate your 20th anniversary, which you just did, Bruce. And I don't want people to leave here, though, without finding out how they can go to Oasis Day Spa.
If they go to my website, which is Oasis Day Spa NYC, and when they buy a gift card of $1 value, if they put in the promo code Bruce, they will get a discount. And I can promise you this, it'll be one of the best gifts any of the people that you are giving gifts to will receive this holiday season.
It will be. It will be, because I know I gave this wonderful spa treatment to my friend a couple of years ago for Christmas. They were like, it was the best. The stress of the holidays, family, hustle bustle, this is just the way to get people back to themselves and get them their sanity back. And so, thank you so much, Bruce, for that wonderful gift.
Hey, Christina, thank you. I would say to people, because the holidays are a very stressful time. And, of course, I'm in the wellness business. I'm going to give everybody some wellness tips right now. Thing that people need to focus on during these stressful periods is making sure they get enough sleep.
Oh my God.
So get your rest. Try to get onto a schedule. Everybody knows, stay hydrated. Don't go crazy during the holidays drinking, and especially don't go out and drive and drink or whatever else you're partying on. But, everything in moderation. But get your rest. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of sleep and making sure your diet is good.
I love that you mentioned sleep. I'm working on that myself. That is, I think, one of the things Americans are missing most is sleep. So it's probably the top number one health tip probably that Americans need to follow is sleeping better and getting to bed at a decent time so you can get that 8 hours or whatever you need for your body sleep.
Whatever it is, and try to do it on a consistent basis.
This has been fabulous. Oasis Day Spa. Everyone goes to the 2 locations. Where is it located so they can go there today?
All right. So our New York City location is right at an easy address to remember. 1 Park Avenue. 1 Park Avenue is between 32nd and 33rd Street. Citibank's on one corner. Men's Warehouse. There you go. I'm giving 2 shout outs to 2 other local businesses are right there. We have a really beautiful space.
I've seen it.
One of the largest spas in the city. We have event space there. We have sauna, shower, the full locker room facilities. Inside the business is a dry salt therapy business called Breathe. There is a acupuncturist, a psychotherapist. We offer 14 modalities of massage. We offer advanced skincare services with, such things as microdermabrasion, microcurrent. We have 3 great skincare lines, Elemis, Eminence Organics, and GM Collin. We're one of the only spas in New York that has 2 hydrotherapy rooms with Vichy shower where we can do scrubs and wraps. The Vichy showers are amazing. And I have great staff and great products. And, if you're going to go to Oasis or any other spa, my biggest tip to everybody is get there early and relax. Because it's never good to rush when you're going to relax.
Rush to relax.
Early.
Yeah, it's really sad. Rushing to relax. Yeah, I've done that to the gym. Not a good thing. But Bruce, this has been so fascinating. I'm so grateful you're able to share your wonderful business wisdom today and to help other businesses out there grow and thrive just as well as you have these past 20 years. I wish you another 20 and more. Thank you so much, Bruce, for coming to Savvy Business Radio.
Thank you for having me, Christina, and very happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
You betcha. Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and the whole rest. God bless.
You too. Be well.
Savvy Business Radio broadcasts worldwide via a large podcast network, celebrating business owners, entrepreneurs, influencers, and successful individuals. Find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest. Call 732-474-7375 or email Christina@savvybusinessradio.com.